Hey, welcome to the Phil Garris Show. We got a fascinating show today for you. We're going to be talking about Trump's fake news report. I would like to talk to progressives about the Bill of Rights, namely the First Amendment and, yes, the Second Amendment. We'll be right back to you after the intro. So, hang on to your handlebars and tighten your seatbelt, and we'll be right back.
Educational, informative, controversial content to keep you free. This is the Radio for Freedom Network, featuring the Phil Garris Show, broadcasting from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida.
Hey, welcome back to the Phil Garris Show. Boy, it's been cold down here in Florida. Got up this morning and it was about 20 degrees outside. You know how it is with our Southerners. We just don't know how to act when it gets cold. But anyway, I'd like to talk to you today about Trump's fake news report and how he's targeting people. If you can remember back to the 60s, Jim Morrison once quoted, "Whoever controls the media controls the mind." And that's exactly what Trump's trying to do. In Trump's fake news report, it reads more like an enemies list than a report. Here's some of the highlights from his report. Now, I must give Fox News some credit, the Washington Post credit, and ABC News credit, because that's where I got this information from. And we all know how YouTube's getting about copyrights. So, I want to make sure that I give credit for the sources of this information. First, Trump claims the New York Times, Paul Krugman, claimed that markets would never recover from a Trump presidency. Well, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. If North Korea launches a nuclear missile, I don't think we'll recover our economy at all. The second one is ABC's News' Brian Ross in his report on a former National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn. Well, I don't know if you know what the report was about, but it was indicated that Ross incorrectly reported during the 2016 presidential campaign, Trump had directed Flynn to make contacts with Russian officials before the election. Well, we know now that Flynn has been arrested, so we don't know what the truth is on that. And three, Trump claims that CNN falsely reported that the Trump campaign had early access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. I think they did. To be honest with you. I mean, do you remember all that bit about the emails and how WikiLeaks got a hold of the Clintons' emails, and then Trump was saying, well, I got something for you about Hillary's emails, and I'm going to tell you tomorrow. It's big, big, big. It's huge. Number four, Trump claims that Time reported that Trump removed a bust of Martin Luther King from the Oval Office. That I don't know, but I've heard that story circling from several sources. He claims that Time was a source for that. I don't know. The fifth one is a Washington Post tweeted that Trump's December rally in Pensacola wasn't packed with supporters. I mean, come on, that's small. I mean, didn't Trump claim that he had huge crowds during his inauguration, bigger than Obama's, and then we saw the pictures of the Park Service and it looked like somebody's bald head? Next one is CNN's retraction of a report claiming Anthony Scaramucci had Russian ties. Well, Trump claimed a lot of people in his campaign did not have any ties whatsoever. And now we're finding out there's all kinds of ties, all kinds of FSB agents in the Oval Office, people meeting in Trump towers that are Russians. God, who knows? The next one is Newsweek's report that the Polish First Lady did not shake Trump's hand. Well, that I don't know. And I don't know. I tried to find a video of that and I couldn't find anything on that. So I don't know. Next one, CNN reporter informed that FBI Director James Comey would dispute Trump's claim he was not told he was under investigation. Well, we know that Trump is under investigation, and Trump did fire Comey, and Trump may have obstructed justice. So that was silly for Trump to list that. And the next one, the New York Times reported that the Trump administration had hidden climate change study. I don't know if they hid the climate change study, but I do know that Trump only wants people to say certain words about climate change. So it's possible that they did hide a study. I don't know. Next one, in Trump's words, Russia collusion is perhaps the greatest hoax perpetrated on the American people. There is no collusion. God, how many times have we heard that? I think most of us know by now there was some type of funny going-ons with the Russians. I mean, it seemed like there was Russians in Trump Tower in the Oval Office. There might have even been Trump agents in the bathroom with Trump. God knows, or maybe in the hotel room with Trump with all of his hookers. I'll tell you what's disturbing about this report and this list. This list reads more like an enemies list. If you remembered Richard Nixon's enemy list, he had a lot of reporters and news media on his list. But what's really disturbing is how Trump is naming individuals. Not only does he name the news outlet, but he singles out the reporters. And that's very disturbing. This seems like this is a move against the First Amendment. You may be wondering, why in the hell is Trump trying to subvert the news media? Well, I can tell you exactly what he's doing. If he controls the media, he also can control the minds of almost all Americans. You remember that quote by Jim Morrison? Clearly, he is violating the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. I don't know if Trump's even read the Bill of Rights. I remember when I was in 7th grade, each one of us had to stand in front of the class and name all the 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights and say something about each of them. I don't know if Trump had to do that. It seems like he didn't, or he's just choosing to ignore the Constitution. But my message to progressives, what are you going to do if Trump is successful in burning books, controlling radio and TV stations, and he's already made threats to revoke FCC license of some stations? What happens if he arrests journalists? I will have to ask progressives, what will you be left with? I can tell you what you're going to be left with after the First Amendment's gone, and the freedom of the press is forever silenced. You will have to go to step 2. And step 2 is the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. Okay, I understand your oppositions to guns. Guns are ugly things, but they're necessary if you want to be free. However, now, progressives, you will be forced to make a decision to live in tyranny under a dictator or choose the most precious thing in the entire world, and that is freedom. Once again, I would like for you to think about the 1960s. And I don't know if you remember this incident, but it was an incident with Black Panthers. The Black Panthers put their freedom to the test. The Black Panthers stuck fear into the heart of conservative California in 1967. Imagine this scenario. In the conservative 1960s, to be exact, it was May 2nd, 1967, at the state capitol, Sacramento, California. School children had gathered and were eating fried chicken on the west lawn of the state capitol with the newly elected governor, Ronald Reagan. However, lunchtime was interrupted when about 30 Black Panther members showed up heavily armed, carrying 12-gauge pump shotguns and .357s and .45s as sidearms. Bobby Seale shouted, "All right, brothers, come on, we're going inside." The armed group walked straight into the state's most important building, the Capitol building. If I remember the incident correctly, it ended without bloodshed. However, the event turned Ronald Reagan and California Republicans into gun control advocates. I guess they didn't want a lot of large, big black men running around with guns around the Capitol, even though they have that right to bear arms. Anyway, Ronald Reagan and the California Republicans passed the Milford Act, repealing a law that allowed firearms to be carried in public. Well, you might say, what are you getting at here, Phil? Well, I'll tell you what I'm getting at. The point I'm trying to make is that Trump and the Republicans may bullshit us into thinking they are pro-Second Amendment. However, when they abolish the First Amendment and citizens start arming themselves, just like the Black Panthers did, Trump will move to shut down the Second Amendment, just like Ronald Reagan and the California Republicans did in 1967. Progressives need to rethink your positions on the right to bear arms, because it may be your only chance at freedom. Thanks for listening to The Phil Garris Show, and have a good day.